Hey, what's up, y'all? And of course, welcome to another Alternative Factuals video. Yes, the week has come and we're going to be dropping another video. I did give a hint, I believe a day or two ago, about what I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to be talking about Marvel's black supernatural beings. And when it comes to supernatural beings, I'm referring to mostly those who have mystical abilities from our heroes, our favorite black heroes. Apparently you guys really like that. So this is going to be a team focused on all black mystical heroes, and someone said in the comments basically down in one of the videos, basically I'm going to be calling this team Black Magic. Hilarious, right? The Black Magic, I'm pretty sure you get it. But before I dive into the details of this video and all that stuff, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're feeling. And without further and or possible ado, let's kind of just jump into today's video. Okay, so before I dive into the list, I'm just letting you know, once again, I do this every single time. This is my personal preference. If I don't mention someone, I'm not saying that they cannot be a part of this team. I'm just letting you know why I'm letting you know why I want these people specifically on this team. So I'm just letting you know off the rip. I know for a fact there's still going to be people who are going to just simply ignore this and just continue to be like, oh, why didn't you include such and such? I'm letting you know. These are just my personal preference of characters, and you're entitled to leave your preference of characters in the comments below. I would definitely comment on it as soon as I possibly can. But yeah, let's kind of just jump into the list. So the most obvious person on this list, I'm pretty sure you see this coming, is of course Dr. Voodoo. Now, I do say that, you know, some of these characters, I think maybe one or two might overlap with basically the list I had previously for Marvel's all black characters if they were to make their own Avengers team. But I really do just think it's only two characters, and like I said, these are just characters that can fit in both categories. Like I said, it's been done before in Marvel Comics, so it's not unheard of. But besides that, minor backstory, Dr. Voodoo, Jericho Drum, basically was born in Haiti. He once was Sorcerer Supreme, extremely powerful. His magic does primarily focus in voodoo, basically having to do with the Loa, something that a lot of people have gotten familiar with Cloak and Dagger when it comes to Cloak's ability to tap into the Dark Force. But that is something I think a lot of people should focus on. Dr. Voodoo is extremely powerful. He was Sorcerer Supreme, meaning his magic is just as capable, if not more capable, than Doctor Strange's magic. So he is someone who should not be slept on at all whatsoever. So make sure you keep that in mind. Dr. Voodoo, I think he would be the leader of this team due to the nature of he was once Sorcerer Supreme, and he would be best to lead this team of people who have supernatural abilities or has the capability of tapping into supernatural energies. So moving forward, I'm going to be going into Eric Brooks, aka Blade. Now, a lot of people assume naturally, because Blade is simply just a human vampire hybrid, and because he has physical augmentations due to that hybrid nature, you know, because he has a slow aging, he has a healing factor, he definitely has enhanced strength and enhanced speed, they think he's just someone who has physical capabilities. Now, a little fun fact about the nature of basically vampires in Marvel Comics. Now, Marvel Comics vampires actually originated from the book, as we all love to know as the Dark Hold. And this is actually something that came into existence during the time of Atlantis, before it had sunk below the waves. So basically the first vampire who ever came into existence during this whole situation was basically an Atlantean. And the Atlantean for many years was the ruler of this, I guess, vampire race. His name was Varney, and he reigned as the unchallenged lord of vampires for many millennia, until basically we see Vlad III Dracula, aka Vlad the Impaler. So many people do not know vampires, obviously in its nature, derive from magic, but a lot of the magical aspects of vampires and stuff like that has to do with the amount of willpower they have. So the reason why Dracula, for example, was able to summon mist and able to summon lightning and able to change the weather was because he had enough willpower to control the magic that was surging through his body, which basically derived from the Darkhold. So Blade does have the potential to tap into magic. I think he just doesn't use his abilities to do so. Just due to the nature of his powers and where he gets his powers from, he's very much capable. And I don't remember the exact story, but I think they did explore something very similar where Blade was actually the king of the vampires. He was a little older, had like a little, gray in his head. But they did explore that, where he was the king of the vampires, basically had all the powers of Dracula, which means he's tapping into magic. He's able to summon magic. He's more than capable because it has been explored in comics before, but we just don't know to what extent. So he's very much capable, as well as a great hand-to-hand combatant, good with using guns, swords, knives, and he's very knowledgeable when it comes to vampires specifically, but overall the supernatural. But let's just keep it real. He's very much capable of using magic. All right, so moving forward, I touched upon this person in the explanation of Dr. Voodoo when it came to the Loa, so obviously I want to include Cloak. Now, Cloak obviously is a part of a duo team of Cloak and Dagger, obviously Tyrone Johnson and basically Tandy Bowen, who made the duo team of Cloak and Dagger. His powers allow him to tap into the Dark Force. That alone is just simply an extremely powerful ability. The Dark Force is extremely powerful. The Dark Force dimension contains a lot of creatures, mystical energy, all within his cloak. He's able to do this naturally, tap into it naturally. Not only can he teleport, but the fact that his shadows can consume infinitely, or at least, we don't know the upper limits of what he can consume based on what we've seen in comics about his powers, nor based on what we've seen in the TV show, even though it didn't really depict too much of him consuming people. CGI, budget constraints, I get it. But basically, he is a force to be reckoned with. And he can basically teleport, intangibility, he has access, like I said, to the Dark Force dimension, and it's infused with strange energy, and he's able to use it in various forms. And I think people don't explore his powers enough, and I think him being on a team like this with people like Dr. Voodoo, Blade, basically they would be able to explore the capabilities of his powers when it comes to his cloak in the Dark Force dimension, especially with Dr. Voodoo, because Dr. Voodoo, like Doctor Strange, has been to the Dark Force dimension before. They've been to multiple dimensions on multiple occasions, and maybe they can help him control his powers more, or maybe they can help him explore more aspects of his powers. You don't know what they can do, but Cloak is definitely someone you would want on a team, not just for transportation purposes, but he himself is powerful in his own right. Okay, so the next one is definitely going to be a shocker for a lot of people, but I'm going to include Storm on this list. Now, Storm is indeed a mutant. She has a mutant gene. Her ability is to manipulate the weather, not just on the planet Earth, but on any planet that has an ecosystem, that has an ozone, anything that she can manipulate the weather to some degree, manipulate atoms, ions, and create weather-like patterns. She can do it. She can even manipulate cosmic storms, which makes her even more powerful, scary powerful. But one thing a lot of people don't really pay attention to when it comes to Storm is basically her ancestry. Now, Storm's ancestry supports the use of magic and also the use of witchcraft, meaning her ancestors were sorceresses and they were priestess, meaning Storm's maternal powers have been linked to the real world of basically being a rain queen. So yes, she has an X gene. Yes, her powers manifest by a scientific means, but she has the magical potential to basically tap into more magic than most people do in their entire lives in Marvel Comics, and then she can use that in conjunction with her mutant X gene and basically augment her powers even further. So at this point, she could be beyond Omega level simply because she'll be able to tap into magic at the same time while using her X gene to manipulate weathers or cosmic storms or anything like that. You never know, maybe because of the magic, she can not only affect cosmic storms in this reality, but maybe she can manipulate storms or cosmic energy in other realities. Her magical potential is powerful, and believe it or not, that's the reason why her hair is white and her eyes are blue, because her potential is flowing through her blood. Her magical essence, her power is flowing through her blood and is visible through the way her hair is, her eyes, everything about her is just spilling out because she has not developed her magical potential, but she is very much capable of doing some extremely powerful mystical things, but it has never ever been explored in Marvel Comics. And just to give you a little hint, the Mystic Arcana series lists the characters with magical potential, and this is according to the Marvel Tarot deck. And the Tarot asserts Storm as being a High Priestess, the first Tarot's choice 1/3 of the time. The others were basically Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness, meaning she is one of the primary priestesses in this dimension, meaning she has the capabilities of being kind of even on par to some degree with Scarlet Witch. So that's something to keep in mind when considering Storm for a team like this. Okay, so moving forward, I'm going to actually pick, Shuri. Now, Shuri obviously is mostly a science-related person. However, she is highly intelligent, she is a genius, and a very common misconception people have, T'Challa and Shuri are both tech geniuses. T'Challa is a genius. T'Challa is actually top 5 smartest person in Marvel Comics. Google it, don't take my word for it. Anyways, she is highly intelligent, extremely intelligent. But basically what I'm going to say is that Shuri has the ability to do, well, if she's posing as the Black Panther, the female version of the Black Panther, what she's going to be capable of is bring the powers of Bast into this team. Now, for those of you who don't know who Bast is the eldest of the child of Ra himself, meaning I guess Bast technically does have you can say ties into Egyptian deities, but ultimately Bast is worshipped as a god, granting power to worshippers and descendants, and the children of Bast who dwelled in his, I guess, greatness, his power, existed in a form of panther-like abilities and become like this human magical hybrid to some degree. But ultimately they bring the powers of Bast with them. Now, depending on who it is, the powers can always mix and wane. It depends on what Bast gives them access to. Like, for example, when T'Challa has access to the power of Bast, basically he's able to talk to the dead, but that's also an ability that Shuri does not have. Not because she can't necessarily get it, but Bast chooses who they want to, well, he wants to give that ability to. So that's something to keep in mind. But Shuri is capable of doing a lot of mystical things, as well as vibranium has mystical properties. It can enhance magical spells, and that's a lot of things people don't realize as well. They did hint on this in let's say the Avengers movies, for example. Thor's lightning has more of a mystical property than it does a technical, I guess, scientific explanation. So every time he would hit it, it would amplify his magical spells, and thus that's why when Thor actually hit it in the first Avengers movie, it kind of sent out the shockwave, not simply because it was the strongest metal in the movie, it is, but ultimately the properties in vibranium allows it to amplify magical and extra dimensional energy. So that's what makes it pretty dope in Marvel Comics. It just has this property that would make it just simply dope on the team, and she does have powers to Bast, and obviously there's other magical users, so her vibranium would be helpful to the team. Now, I would put a 7th person on this list, but to my knowledge, I don't even know if there's even a 7th magic user who's even black or someone who potentially can use magic. But I did officially, well, I was doing some research about the daughter of Dormammu. In some issues she's depicted as a person of color or black. I don't know what was going on with that, but I don't know. I can't in my right mind put her on the team, knowing at one point she was drawn as a Caucasian woman, but even though she's an interdimensional creature, I don't want to be like, let me put her on the team just to kind of fill it, but I don't know. But I'm gonna leave it at the 6. If y'all know about a black character that's in Marvel Comics that uses magic besides the ones that I've listed, let me know in the comments down below. And I'm not talking about Marvel movies, I'm talking about Marvel Comics, to make a difference, because I know some of you probably would use like Mordo, for example, who is black in the movies, but he's a white guy in the comics. So I'm referring specifically to Marvel Comics. Let me know in the comments down below if you know anybody else as a 7th who you would add on, as well as if you know just different various forms of magic user. Let me know if you like the list. Let me know if you agree with the list. Let me know if you feel like this group of people would be powerful enough to really make some change in Marvel Comics. Let me know what you feel about it. Just whatever's on your mind, let me know. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're feeling. Ooh. And I hope to see you later on. God damn.